Welcome to Badminton Unlimited, your weekly access to badminton action and beyond. This week we catch up with former world champion and three-time Thomas Cup winner, Indonesia's Hendrawan, on his remarkable badminton career. We also speak to Southeast Asian Games men's singles gold medalist Chong Wei Feng about his struggles in reaching the top. For many badminton champions, the journey begins at an early age. Grooming winners requires careful nurturing from a young age, slowly scaling heights before eventually realizing their potential. However, for Indonesia's 2001 world champion Hendrawan, this well-trodden path wasn't for him. The right-hander joined the national setup at the relatively mature age of 21, but was quick to make his mark. What made his inclusion more impressive was that Indonesia was already stacked with world-class players at the time.
Normally,
players get selected into the national team when they are 17 or 18 years old. I am considered to have joined late. During that time, there were already many top players such as Ellen Budi Kusuma, Hermawan, Joko Supriyanto, and Haryato Arbi. I was a little overwhelmed by the presence of such great talents. I felt it was going to be a challenge to upstage them.
Now a coach with the Malaysian national team, Hendrawan recalls how his father played an influential role in helping him to develop his passion for the sport as he followed in the footsteps of his idols.
When I was a child, my father would always take me to the badminton courts. He wasn't a great player, but he was very passionate about badminton as a hobby. I looked up to legends like Lim Swee Keng, Rudy Hartono, and Icuk Sugiarto. I felt inspired by these players, and they were great examples for young players starting out. I had a dream to be just like them.
The East Java native's first step to realizing that dream was when he won the National Junior Championships at the age of 19. 1993 saw him enter the national setup, and he quickly got to work as he clinched his maiden senior title in France. More podium finishes would follow through the years before Hendrawan found himself on the brink of clinching the ultimate prize, an Olympic gold medal in Sydney. But it wasn't to be. Hendrawan came up short in the final against China's Ji Xinping. It took some time for the Indonesian to overcome the setback, but with help from his loved ones and his own determination to redeem himself, Hendrawan went on to claim his biggest win the next year at the 2001 World Championships.
When I lost at the Olympics, I was very upset. I was really disappointed because every badminton player dreams of winning the Olympic gold. I felt down. My wife kept encouraging me to keep playing, so I told myself to keep going and prepare for the next year, which was the 2001 World Championships. I was very grateful to win it. The victory actually helped me to get over my disappointment at the Olympics the previous year.
Individual honours aside, Hendrawan was also an important member of his country's Thomas Cup exploits, helping his country to 3 consecutive titles. It was the last of these wins that cemented his place in Indonesian badminton folklore.
That year, in 2002, I had one of my toughest tournament challenges. My result would determine the winner against Malaysia. I was thinking to myself, this time, I have to be the hero. In 1998, I was the second singles player, and in 2000, I was the first. In 2002, I was the third singles player. I told myself that perhaps this is the path that's meant for me. It was an opportunity I must take in order to prove that no matter whether I was the first, second or third singles player, I would have to take up the responsibility.
Melaksanakan tanggung jawab itu.
The next year would also be the point when Hendrawan called time on his career. Unfit and lacking form, the prospect of not making it to the Summer Games 2004 in Athens was instrumental in his decision.
Satu memang faktor cedera ada ya, waktu injury.
There was the injury factor that influenced me to retire. But the biggest reason for my decision to quit was that in 2003, I did not have sufficient points to qualify for the next Olympics. Looking at the rankings at the time, I knew it was impossible for me to get enough points and make the cut. So my drive and motivation waned, and eventually it stopped. I thought, that's it for me. I've had enough, because my last dream was to compete in the 2004 Olympics.
Saya yang terakhir adalah saya mau ikut Olimpiade 2004.
These days, Hendrawan can be seen giving guidance to Malaysian superstar Lee Chong Wei. With the Total BWF World Championships around the corner, the Indonesian hopes he can assist the player to finally clinch the elusive crown.
Bukan senang untuk membantu dia.
It's not easy to help him when it comes to technique or fitness, because he's already at the highest level. We have discussions and share our experiences. I try to give him an understanding of what it means to have a fighting spirit or the difficulties he may face in some situations. To be a champion is not easy or straightforward. But for a player to have the mindset of one, now, that's far more difficult.
Jauh lebih susah.
A world beater as a player, and now a dedicated coach. Hendrawan will be fondly remembered as one of the greats of the sport. Time now for some trivia. Can you name the badminton player who holds the Guinness World Record for the fastest hit in sports? We tell you the answer after the break. When we get back, we find out how badminton is developing in the island nation of Mauritius. Before the break, we asked you to name the badminton player who holds the Guinness World Record for the fastest hit in sports. The answer is Tan Boon Hyung. The Malaysian shuttler set the world record in 2009 for the fastest badminton smash at 421 kilometers per hour under test conditions. Living up to its billing as the fastest racket sport in the world, the badminton smash also reigns supreme when compared to all other hits in sports, including tennis and golf. The island nations of the Indian Ocean are famed for their blue seas, white sandy beaches, and tropical lifestyle. So, it's unusual to find the indoor game of badminton thriving in these places. Badminton Unlimited previously brought you inspirational stories from the Seychelles and the Maldives, where they've shown that despite limited resources, badminton is a viable and growing sport. This week, we look at another Indian Ocean island nation, Mauritius. The national team was in Jakarta for a training camp, and we spent the day with them to learn more about the sport in the country.
Mauritius is a small country with only 1 million people. So for us, badminton is very small. We don't have the logistic, we don't have good training structures, but fortunately, with the help of our local federation, and also sometimes with the African Federation, the Badminton Confederation of Africa, we do have the opportunity to go for training abroad and have quality training with good coaches.
The Mauritius national team are in Atik Johari Badminton Academy for a month-long training camp. Coming from a country with few players and modest sports infrastructure, it was an initiative by the Sports Council to give their shuttlers valuable learning experience abroad.
I'm very happy to be here because we needed to experience abroad training for us to improve. And in Mauritius, we used to play with the same people every time, so we don't have the opportunity to play with different players. And here in Indonesia, we will have the chance, and our level will naturally improve.
Recognizing that the coaching methods in the country were inadequate, the administrators enlisted an Indonesian coach to help restructure the training program. Anas Johari arrived in Mauritius over 2 months ago, and as the head coach, he immediately put in place training structures he's familiar with, coming from a leading badminton nation.
I have 10 times training in a week. It's 2 times a day, except on Wednesday and Saturday. We have only 1 session. Since day 1 I arrived there in Mauritius, I'm running the intensive programs for them because I want players to reach at their best level as soon as possible. But I know it's not an easy job. It's not like in 2 or 3 months the players will be better in a short notice. It's not, because it's badminton. You need patience, and it needs a lot of trainings.
For the Mauritius badminton team, their immediate goal is to perform well in the upcoming Indian Ocean Island Games in August.
The Indian Ocean Games is a very, very important event. It is like our mini Olympic because it is the island of the Indian Ocean. We must be the best, not only for us, but for the country itself. It is the pride of a country. We are fighting for our country to show what our country has.
Since the first game in 1979, we were winning all the gold medals at stake, that is 7 golds. But since some years, countries like Seychelles or Maldives, we are becoming stronger. And in the last edition, we won only 3 gold medals. So since 4 years now, we are training hard. So we are eager to go there to get 7 gold medals.
It's a target well within their grasp. However, head coach Johari believes the team needs to aim higher, as the standard of badminton at the Games lags behind other international BWF competitions.
Before I came to Mauritius, I didn't know that our players got so many potentials. I really don't want to waste those talents just to compete only in Mauritius or only in Africa.
Ranked 88th in women's singles, Kate Fu Kun is their most noted player. As she's been fortunate to have the resources to train abroad, the shuttler has had the opportunity to regularly compete on the global scene. Her first experience at the International Challenge in Europe had been humbling and reinforced the need for Mauritian shuttlers to compete outside their comfort zone.
We come from a really small country. There's not a lot of players. It's easy, it's quite easy to be number 1. So there's a huge gap in terms of capacities and of course level. So when I arrived there, I realized how high the level was and how much I needed to work.
Besides the need for greater participation on the international circuit, there's also a need to grow the sport on the island if they are to increase their numbers and sustain the sport.
For Mauritian badminton to really grow up, it starts from us. We need also to give to the country for the future. We need to go on the spot, go in school in Mauritius, go in primary school, talk about badminton, explain and expose badminton to everyone. Even if in Mauritius it is not well recognized, it is not it's okay. Because for me, badminton is inside my heart. So play badminton, love badminton, and yes, badminton.
If anything, the islanders possess the drive, enthusiasm, and love for the sport second to none. The country has talented players. With the right support and training, Mauritius badminton can take the next step in becoming an international success story. Last week, the Taipei Arena welcomed international shuttlers from around the globe for this year's Yonex Open Chinese Taipei. Opening proceedings on finals day was the women's singles, as China provided players at both ends, as Olympic champion Li Xuerui faced compatriot Wang Yihang. Li, triumphant in her last 3 meetings with Wang, was hoping to continue her success, but it wasn't to be. Wang was in devastating form on the day, and she completed the victory in just 28 minutes, the score 21-10, 21-9. On to the women's doubles as Chinese second seeds Luo Ying and Luo Yu took on defending champions Nitya Krishinda Maheswari and Gracia Poli. The Indonesians were keen to keep hold of their crown against the pair they had recently defeated at the BCA Indonesia Open. And after 46 minutes, they succeeded, Maheswari and Poli securing the win in straight games 21-17, 21-17. Korea's world number 10 pair Ko Sung-hyun and Kim Ha-na went up against compatriots Shin Baek-chul and Chae Yu-jung next in the mixed doubles final. Yet to open their accounts so far this year, Ko and Kim were keen to register that elusive win in Taiwan. But determined as they were, Shin and Chae couldn't hold off the skilled play of their opponents. Final score 21-16, 21-18 to Ko and Kim. The men's doubles final had Chinese pair Fu Haifeng and Zhang Nan up against Indonesia's Gideon Marcos Fernaldi and Kevin Sanjaya Sukamuljo. Runners-up in 3 tournaments this year, Fu and Zhang were out to redeem themselves in this one. It took just 23 minutes as the Chinese 5th seeds powered home their first title for 2015, 21-13, 21-8, the final result. Concluding the day was the men's singles final. Outstepped reigning world champion Chen Long as he took on local favourite Chou Tian-chen. In 5 previous meetings, Chou had never beaten the Chinese number 1. Despite a great effort from Chou, this one went the same way as other matchups. Chen proved once again why he's favourite to retain his title at next month's Total BWF World Championships, as he took this one 15-21, 21-9, 21-6. After the break, we'll be in Kuala Lumpur to talk to the newly crowned Southeast Asian Games men's singles champion, Chong Wei-feng. This week's Players of the Week are China's top men's doubles duo Fu Haifeng and Zhang Nan. The world number 6 pair won their first title together this season, defeating Indonesians Gideon Marcos Fernaldi and Kevin Sanjaya Sukamuljo at the Yonex Open Chinese Taipei. With next month's World Championships looming, Fu and Zhang couldn't have chosen a better time to open their account. The world of badminton is not without its struggles and disappointments. One player who has been through the ups and downs the sport often demands is Malaysia's men's singles shuttler Chong Wei-feng. At one time compared to his namesake and former world number 1 Lee Chong-wei, the Kedah-born left-hander has had to endure withering criticism for his lack of results and was at one point on the verge of quitting the game. But like any athlete with aspirations to greatness, he has shown a stubborn streak and has turned that frustration into success. In 2014, he showed the badminton world glimpses of his potential as his 5-match winning streak helped Malaysia reach its first Thomas Cup final since 2002. In June this year, Wei-feng ended the country's 14-year wait for a Southeast Asian Games badminton gold medal in men's singles. The all-Malaysian final saw the then world number 36 beat teammate Muhammad Arif Abdullatif in straight games.
Yeah, this is my second SEA Games actually. First one is also 2 years ago in Myanmar. I didn't do well. Last year we have Asian Games, Commonwealth Games. Make use of those experience in this year's SEA Games to play well.
Badminton Unlimited took a trip to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia to catch up with the SEA Games gold medalist. Wei Feng's life in the national setup began when he was almost 15 years old, when he made it through the selection trials. But he decided to hold off on his badminton career to complete his studies. When the trial came around 2 years later in 2004, Wei Feng was ready to take the plunge. A hard worker, he threw himself into his new life as a national player. The Sungai Petani shuttler won the Proton Malaysia International Challenge in 2009 and reached the quarterfinals of the Proton Malaysia Open Superseries the following year. It was a slow but steady climb. But in 2010, he was faced with a dilemma that led to thoughts of retirement.
By that time, I was not selected for the Thomas Cup team in Malaysia, so I was very disappointed despite having a few good results in the early part of the year. But after that, I have my parents, my friends supported me all the way. They know that I love badminton, so I've sacrificed so many years in this sport, so there's no point of quitting because of just this Thomas Cup. So as I managed to overcome this disappointment.
With the support from his family and friends, Wei Feng went back to work, determined to prove himself. One of his best results arrived 2 years after the Thomas Cup setback at the Li Ning China Open, where he reached the semi-finals, losing to the then world number 3, Chen Long. Wei Feng's career high of number 12 in the world rankings came in April 2013, after winning bronze at the Badminton Asia Championships. Then came May 2014, the Li Ning BWF Thomas Cup in New Delhi. Although Malaysia lost the trophy to an inspired Japanese side, the left-hander surprised even himself with his performances leading up to the finals.
Never expect myself to win so many matches actually, but the preparation was good. The whole team spirit was there. From match to match, I performed better and better, but a bit disappointment in the finals. I didn't do well.
Pressure got the better of Wei Feng as he stumbled against Japan's Kento Momota. So it was back to the drawing board for the Malaysian shuttler, as he knew no work is ever done if he wanted to stay on top of his game. With his world rankings taking a blow, and coupled with a hamstring injury he sustained in January this year, some adjustments had to be made.
I've been struggling with inconsistency also all along these years. I would say preparation is very important because sometimes we don't have enough time to prepare for every tournament and need to maintain physical strength, physical condition, and of course mental. There's a few areas that I need to improve. One of them, I would say, is my attacking shots. I need to sharpen up.
Time spent working on his game brought him success recently at the Southeast Asian Games. He went into the tournament in Singapore nursing the disappointment of not being selected by Badminton Association of Malaysia for the upcoming Total BWF World Championships. They decided to give his spot to the country's legendary men's singles number 1, Lee Chong-wei, who recently returned to the game after suspension. Taking the gold medal at the SEA Games made up for that disappointment.
This SEA Game win is very important actually because after the World Championship disappointment, I was not selected. Actually, I didn't think of winning a gold because I only target to get a medal. So it's a bonus for me. And it surprised everyone actually, include myself. And it's a good start. I hope it's a good start for me.
Besides the hunger for more titles, the 28-year-old is setting his sights on qualifying for the big one, the 2016 Rio Olympics. Determined and motivated, Chong Wei Feng is bent on carving out his name on the court. Let's look at what's happening on the international circuit in our Badminton Unlimited calendar. Get connected with all the news, information and notifications. Log on to these websites for the latest videos, photos and all things badminton. Next week on Badminton Unlimited, we sit down with Singapore's leading men's singles shuttler, Derek Wong. See you next week.